National Academy of Mobile Electronics is proud to present a series of training videos for the consumer electronics industry. Each video focuses on a specific area of training with information that has been compiled and painstakingly applied over several years. These videos will make a great addition to your video training library, and if you're just getting started, they will save you hundreds of hours of head scratching. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy. Here's Mike Breault.
Hello, my name is Mike Breault, and welcome to the National Academy of Mobile Electronics. NAME has developed a series of highly comprehensive training videos for the mobile electronics industry. Our videos will help the seasoned professional as well as the novice installer to better enhance their installation skills. We hope you enjoy our videos, and if you have any questions regarding any of our other training programs, please feel free to call our toll-free number during business hours. Now, let's get to work. I've been in the mobile electronics industry for over 16 years, serving in several different capacities. One thing I can say about this industry is you can never know too much. A day wouldn't go by when I didn't learn a new trick about installing or a new technique to implement. Our goal here at NAME is to help you reduce the amount of time you spend on an installation by helping you eliminate the time spent on trial and error. This will make you worth more money to both yourself and to your employer. We're confident that the techniques revealed in these videos will prove effective in your quest to build a better career as a mobile electronics specialist.
How important is upholstery in car audio installation? I'll tell you, it can mean the difference from a job looking like no one has been in the vehicle to one that may have been used in an auto shop experiment. The art of a good upholstery job on any vehicle is to look like nothing has been done to the car. The closer to factory colors and materials we can use, the better the job. With the introduction of vinyl dyes to the automotive industry, there is no excuse to ever let a job go out the door with a mismatched vinyl. As basic a skill as upholstery may be, it is the one we count on to give the customer the ever-important first impression. During our video, we will cover several time-saving tips and techniques to stay within the cosmetic integrity of the vehicle's existing upholstery. One important note to heed for all of your upholstery projects is to always strive to use the highest quality glues and vinyls you can find. The extra expense is well worth the investment and may save you time having to redo a panel or two. Before we cover some of these materials, let's go over what we have in store for you during our upholstery video. In part 1, we cover techniques on the upholstery of a mini truck box using carpet, using patterns to duplicate your work, and the use of spray glue. In part 2, we will cover wrapping vinyl, making buttons on a button press, using a glue pot, and using an air stapler. In part 3, we will show you how to dye vinyls, how to apply grill cloth, and how to create 2 different types of door panels. Finally, in part 4, we will go over using jigs to hold your work and hot wrap vinyl techniques. Now, let's go over some tools and materials that we'll be using during our video. First, we will talk about materials. This is one of the most popular carpets being used in the install bays today. It does not have a backing on it, which allows it to stretch in any and all directions. For this reason, it is very difficult to cut unless you are against a hard, flat surface and have a very sharp knife. It is ideal, however, for forming and shaping around odd contours. It is available in many colors, but I found it sometimes hard to match manufacturers' colors perfectly. Next, we have our backed carpet. This is generally the same material you'll find on most of your dash mats and covers. On a positive note, this carpet is very easy to cut and works well on square shapes and is slightly more durable than the non-backed carpet. Some of its drawbacks are its limited stretchability, and it too is sometimes hard to match manufacturers' color schemes. Now, let's talk about a couple of vinyls that we will be using during some of our upholstery projects. First, this is a very popular vinyl. It can be purchased in just about any industrial fabric outlet in your town. It is very inexpensive and can be bought in literally hundreds of colors and textures. Its drawbacks are its durability, and it only has good flexibility in one direction. Here is an OEM or original equipment manufacturer type vinyl. It is excellent for our projects, but is next to impossible to get your hands on due to its limited distribution. It is very flexible in both directions and is very durable. One drawback to this type of vinyl is its thickness makes it difficult to work with in certain applications, and you must be sure to account for that thickness when wrapping door panels with low clearances between the dash and doors. Here is a new type vinyl that has been introduced from Italy. It is very thin, which makes it very easy to work with, but you must be sure to get a flawless finish on the panel being wrapped. Next, we have our grill cloth. This is obviously a necessity in our field of work, since its acoustic transparency and ability for sound to penetrate make it almost the only material we'll use on our speaker grills. I have had great luck in dyeing my grill cloth materials to match interiors. Just try to keep within a few shades of the color you're changing to. One secret to dyeing your grill cloth using vinyl dyes is to do the color changing after the grill cloth has already been wrapped. Now, let's cover the tools and supplies that we will be using during our endeavors. Here are several variations of some of the tools we will be showing. The quality of your tools is definitely evident in the work you do. First, we'll need a good pair of quality shears. It doesn't hurt to have a couple different sizes. Your shears will definitely get their share of use during your upholstery projects. To do your work right and permanent the first time, every time, a good air stapler is a wise investment. An electric stapler will suffice if you don't have an air compressor. Here are all of the jigs and dies for the button press. Buttons, when used properly, can help cover screw holes that can't be avoided, and also to break up the monotony of a flat door panel. Knives of different sizes and uses will be used on every upholstery job you'll ever tackle in the bay. Here are a few tools which come in handy for pressing, poking, and creasing into tight spots. Next, we have a few different types of pliers used for pulling, cutting, and clamping. Here we have a good quality glue pot and some spray glue. I use an industrial spray grade glue for all of my vinyl wrap jobs. The spray glue in aerosol cans is alright to use during carpeting projects, but its tolerance to heat and humidity are not the best, so in warmer climates take heed. This is a Bosch heat gun. The heat gun is a must for any and all of your vinyl wrapping jobs for the ease of contouring in and around corners. Now that we have covered our materials, tools, and supplies, let's move on to part 1 and begin by carpeting a mini truck box. We will also need a pattern of the side insert, some spray glue in an aerosol can, and a good razor knife with breakaway reusable blades. We will be using backed carpet for this project. As you can see, our enclosure is fairly square, so most cuts will be square. We will also need a T-square for making nice even cuts. As you can see on this particular enclosure, we have recessed the sides for ease of wrapping. This is a fairly common practice if you want to have somewhat a seamless finish. Now we will lay our enclosure down close to one side and using our T-square make a nice even cut to remove the excess from the outer side. Once we have completed this process, we will begin the gluing by laying our enclosure to where the only seam that will occur on this enclosure will be on the bottom. Make sure your box is centered between the ends when you are going to stick it down. Now we will apply our spray glue. One thing to remember is that this is a contact type glue and is fairly quick drying. So once it is stuck in place, it is usually permanent. I will generally use quite a bit of spray glue when adhering carpet to ensure a good bond. Now, lay your box onto your carpet and press it on smoothly to avoid wrinkles. Once your carpet has been fully wrapped around the top, front, and back, you can take your knife and run it along the ridge where the carpet comes together on the bottom. Then take your T-square and place it along that ridge. Then, with your razor knife, proceed to cut along your T-square. Now, just remove the excess carpet and you have a fairly seamless finish. Now, we will wrap the carpet around the sides. This is done simply by folding the sides and top down, and then take your fingers and push the carpet into the corners between the side piece and the outer edge. Now, take your knife and press the carpet into the corners. The carpet will come together at the corners, which is where you will be cutting your seams. Just squeeze it together before you cut it. Also, before cutting the corners, take your knife and cut around the inside edge. The nice thing about this type of upholstery job on an enclosure designed like this is that your knife has a natural guide which is right in these corners, and that makes it almost impossible to get an uneven cut. Next, make diagonal cuts at the corner seams, keeping the two ends joined together. Now we will do the side piece. To do this, we simply take our pattern, which is exactly the same as our side pattern, and lay it on a piece of carpet. Since we have a 90-degree back and bottom, we can lay this edge along the straight edge of carpet and cut the top and front. Now, apply your glue to your side piece of carpet. Allow it to dry a few seconds, then apply it to the side. Next, take your knife and push it into the corners. Now, cut off any excess on your side. In this case, it is on the bottom and front. If you cut your pattern piece down to account for the thickness of the carpet, no additional cutting would be needed to the side piece. All you need to do is apply it. When you are finished, you may take a little cleaning solution and clean off any glue that may be on the outside of your enclosure. I usually use mineral spirits on a dry cloth. Okay, the last thing to do is to cut your holes through the front, which is a fairly simple process using this type of carpet and a very sharp knife. Just stick your blade through the front and let it follow the edge of the wood. It is that simple. Now this enclosure can be carpeted fairly quickly if you have a pre-cut piece in your bay and duplicate this shape frequently. If you saw our woodworking video, you watched how to duplicate your boxes. This does wonders on saving time, which means more to the bottom line. Here is a finished product, just like factory. Alright, let's move on to part 2 of our video. If you recall, in this section we will learn cold wrapping techniques using vinyl. Let's start by making a few vinyl buttons on the button press. We will need some aluminum button caps and some nylon back snaps, a die cutter, and the jigs to hold our parts in place during pressing. We will also need a small block of 3/4 inch MDF. Let's begin with our die cutter. This big green thing is our button press. For now, we will be cutting vinyl circles to use on our buttons. Now, take a piece of vinyl and lay it on your block of wood, and with your die cutter, begin to cut your circular patterns. Next, take a pattern that you have cut, and with this wooden dowel, press an aluminum cap down over your vinyl circle with the vinyl side down, pressing it into the jig with the movable plunger. This is how it will look once it is pressed into place. Now, take the other jig and place it on your press. Then take a nylon insert and with the tapered edge up, insert it into the jig. Next, take the plunger jig and place it down on top of that jig and simply press down firmly. Here is what your buttons will look like when they are finished. Next, we will be vinyl wrapping a panel with countersunk holes, which is where we will be using our buttons. We will be using a spray grade contact cement on our panels, which to me is the best way to get permanent high quality results. We will be using a store-bought, fairly inexpensive vinyl for this project. Generally, I'm more concerned with the grain and texture match than color. I don't invest in many different colors since I will usually always dye most of my panels to match the manufacturer's colors. We will cut a piece of vinyl big enough to wrap around the front of our panel and just enough to give us an inch or two around the back side. Now let's apply our contact cement via the glue pot. Remember to always clean off your vinyl and panels thoroughly. Any imperfections will show up if it is trapped between the vinyl and the panel. Once your contact cement is completely dry to touch, you may proceed to the next step. Lay your panel down flat on your vinyl. Then glue the back side of your panel just around the edges where you will be wrapping your vinyl. Okay, once that is dried, we can begin wrapping our vinyl. I will usually stretch my vinyl along the straight edges first and use my heat gun when I get to the corners. Heat the vinyl up. Be sure you don't overheat it or it will deform and or tear, and the last thing you want to do is have to try to pull the vinyl off of the panel. Once you have wrapped your panel, we need to cut off the excess from around the back side. To do this, take your blade and using your finger as a guide, let your finger follow the edge and you'll get a nice straight cut. To relieve the vinyl bunching up around the edges, we will be cutting little crow's feet or V-shapes into the vinyl. Next, we will staple our vinyl around the edge. Be sure you don't get too close to the edge where a staple may poke out through the wood and vinyl. Okay, that takes care of the back. Here is a nicely finished edge. Now, let's heat and press in the buttonholes on the front of the panel. First, cut a little X in the vinyl. Then, heat it up with the heat gun. Now, with the edge of your knife, press it in around the edge. Once that is finished, we will put our snaps in place and then snap our buttons into the hole. These holes and snaps are generally what we use to hold our panel to the door. For now, we will attach the snaps to show you the results using the flush buttons. Now, here is a completed panel with the buttons installed. Here are a couple of shots of panels that we have installed using buttons to hold the panels in place. As you can see, it stays within the integrity of the vehicle. Okay, now let's move on to part 3 of our video. Here, we will show you how to take a panel that you have just wrapped and dye it to match an automotive interior or any other color scheme you may choose. Here are some of the materials you would need to accomplish this project. Vinyl prep to clean and etch your vinyl surface. A sponge is a great applicator for your vinyl prep. You will also need a rag and a bucket of warm water. Here is our vinyl dye, the greatest addition to the automotive industry in regards to cosmetics yet. And finally, to apply our dye, we have an aerosol spray bottle. The tops are disposable and the jars are great for storing leftover vinyls. Now, start with your vinyl prep and sponge and clean off your vinyl thoroughly. Make sure you get the edge and the backside. Once your solution has been applied, take a damp rag and some warm water and wipe the panel down. Our next step is to agitate your vinyl dye and then pour it into your aerosol spray jar. Next, begin to apply light, even coats of dye to your vinyl. This dye is very fast drying and very durable. You may also use it to spray Breault cloth, plastics, and carpets. When spraying carpets, make sure you use a brush when spraying to keep the fibers from sticking together. Don't try to change the shades of your carpets or Breault cloth too much. Just get a color close to what you would like to change it to, and you should have no problem. I will usually apply 2 coats to my vinyl, and I'll play it by ear on my Breault cloth and carpet. Here is the panel with the dye dried. In a few moments, we will show you the results of a color match door panel matching both the vinyl and the Breault cloth. For now, we will start with a basic door panel with the snap-on grill. We start with a 1/2 inch piece of MDF for the baffle and a piece of 1/4 inch MDF for the grill. Put the two together to drill out your holes for where the snaps will go for the grills. These are a popular grill snap sold by many distributors. Now, on your grill, it is important to round out the hole to prevent the grill cloth from wearing through. I also paint my grill a dark color before wrapping, unless I'm using a light colored grill cloth. Now we will vinyl wrap our baffle piece. Again, cut your vinyl to fit just around the back. Here we have already applied our glue. One thing I would like to emphasize on this panel that we could not show you on the first panel is whenever wrapping a panel that has both interior and exterior shapes, always begin with the interior shapes or curves, and then the exterior corners. The reason for this is that we always have excess vinyl in our corners. So, if we are able to pull vinyl to the interior curves, it is best to begin here. After trimming the back, just like we showed in the first section, turn your panel over and heat up your circle with your heat gun. Then, cut a series of slits in the center so that we may wrap the vinyl through the speaker hole. Turn your panel back over and stretch and wrap our vinyl. Cut all of the excess off and staple. Now for the grill snaps. Simply dig the vinyl out away from the hole using your hole as the blade guide and press your snaps in place. Now we are ready to start the grill piece. Take a piece of grill cloth big enough to fit well over your grill piece. Next, take a piece of paper and put it down in the hole we've made for our speaker. This will prevent glue from getting on the grill cloth. Now proceed to spray. Only spray the back side of your grill piece. Once your glue has dried enough, remove your piece of paper from your cloth and proceed to glue your cloth, stretching your grill cloth as you go to give yourself a nice tight fit. Now to trim your cloth. Use basically the same technique as with vinyl. Now press your snaps into your front grill piece. And there you have it, a generic door grill for just about any size speaker you wish. Now we will show you a couple of techniques for building a full door panel using a door panel from a Jeep Cherokee. We will be cutting our panel below this line. Our additions will be made to this whole area below the line. We will, however, be keeping the plastic pocket that is existing after it has been dyed. Note the mark we have made on our door panel with a grease pencil. This is a very important step to notate exactly where the dash and door panel come together and how much clearance you have between the two. We will not get into the construction of the lower panel since it is covered in our fiberglass video, but we will go over the upholstery aspects of this door panel. First, with a razor knife, cut right below the hard plastic trim piece. Next, take the lower door panel, using all the techniques we have learned thus far, and wrap the lower door panel and then dye it to match the interior. Here is what you have so far. Note the pocket which we have dyed and then reattached. Now, take your air stapler and line up your two pieces together, the upper door panel and the lower door panel, and then proceed to staple them together. Once you have finished the stapling process, take a bead of silicone and glue down this flat between the two. Now, here is a door panel that has been wrapped and dyed, including the grill cloth and the pocket that was once on the original door panel. Here it is, fully reinstalled back on the door. Now, let's move on to part 4 on using jigs and how to do hot wrap technique. For this process, you will need a hot box, which is something we use in our bay that heats up our vinyl in sheets, a good spray grade contact cement, and a glue pot. Remember, always shake contact cement well before each use, and for the best results, make sure your glue is somewhat fresh. You will also need a shallow frame made of MDF, about 4 inches deep. This will hold your work during the final stages of our wrapping. We will now take a square piece of vinyl and insert it into a frame that we will make out of MDF strips. This frame, or jig as we call it, will act as the ever important extra set of hands that we need so often when wrapping vinyl. If you've ever had your vinyl fold over and stick on you, then you know what I mean. Now, lay your vinyl over the 4 pieces of MDF that will make up the bottom of our jig, and screw the top boards to the vinyl, stretching it somewhat taut as you go. Now, take the panel that we will be wrapping and apply your contact cement to the panel and to the back of your vinyl. Allow your glue ample time to dry before inserting your jig into your hot box. Leave your vinyl in your hot box for about 5 minutes, longer or shorter depending on how hot your box gets. Now, take your jig out of the box and lay it on your MDF frame with the glue side up. Next, take your panel and press it into the vinyl. Now, take your knife and cut around the edges, wrapping as you go. This is a fairly simple process and can be done with one person to get a perfect wrap every time. Once you have cut the excess vinyl away from the back, we can reinsert our panel into the hot box to heat it up and press it in where the grill will go. Now we'll begin to press in around the edge. It may be a little warm on your fingertips, so use a little precaution. Now I take a closed knife and with the end finish pressing down on my vinyl edge. Here is a finished panel with the grill pressed in place. I'm sure you will agree this panel has a certain level of cosmetic appeal. Now, let's review. In part 1, we learned how to use carpets, spray glues and patterns to expedite the upholstery process, in part 2, we learned how to cold wrap, and how to make vinyl buttons. In part 3, we covered door panels, and how to use and apply dyes. Finally, in part 4, we covered how to use a jig as a second set of hands and hot wrapping vinyl techniques. These are some of the most used techniques you will come across in the install bay. Use them to both save time and produce high quality work.
That about wraps it up for this video. Good luck applying your newfound skills, and remember, always have fun, keep an open mind, and make lots of money. I'm Mike Breault for the National Academy of Mobile Electronics. Goodbye for now. Be safe. The staff here at NAME would like to thank you for joining us in your quest to becoming one of our industry's finest. I look forward to seeing you again. And remember, your reputation begins with your first installation. So do it right the first time, every time. I'm Mike Breault. Have a nice day. Hello, this is Mike Breault again. I'm here to tell you about the many training aids that NAME offers to you as a mobile electronics connoisseur. NAME currently has 3 sets of training videos. Our intermediate set consists of basic electronics, automotive electrical, tools and safety, and installation techniques. Our advanced series consists of electrical, auto sound, security, and cellular. And finally,
our Audio Architect series. It includes woodworking, fiberglass, upholstery, motorization, enclosure design, which comes with this reference guide including several formulas, and rounding out the Architect series is the Miracle Door Panel video. NAME also offers a SpeakerCAD software, which will assist you in building enclosures, putting the tedious task of calculations at your fingertips for the following things. It will derive teal small parameters, calculate optimum sealed enclosures, tune ported enclosures, calculate vent lengths, plot a graph of response, and help you design 6, 12, 18, and 24 dB per octave crossovers. This software can be yours for only $79.95 if you have already purchased any of our videos from NAME. Finally, I would like to tell you about NAME's certification program. NAME will allow you to become a certified audio architect in the privacy of your own living room. It's simple. Just view all of the Audio Architect videos, answer 150 questions, and get 85% or better, and you will receive a plaque recognizing you as an audio architect from the National Academy of Mobile Electronics. Also, you'll receive this colorful t-shirt just for taking the test.
This concludes our video presentation. For suggestions for new videos or the release of other training videos, call NAME at 1-800-869-8448.